What's going on, traders? Hope everybody's having a great start to the week. My name is Shark. Thank you so much for joining me. Going to do a quick 5-minute breakdown here on SPX, the S&P 500 cash index, as we've had some obvious developments geopolitically and the spike in oil because of that, putting a lot of headwinds here on the market overall, although for quite a bit of time here, we have been talking about the start of this year potentially being a bit more turbulent and potentially really the start of something bigger brewing in the market. A lot of macro factors really setting their foothold in the economy and broader markets, generally speaking. Well, with that said, what we're really focusing on here is the daily price action, and we were watching this rising wedge finally started breaking down, and we have broke that uptrend channel here, and we have closed strongly beneath the daily 9, 20, 50, and 200 SMA, which we haven't seen in quite a bit. In today's price action, Monday, the 23rd, looks like we did try to get just above the 200 EMA, sitting at 65.94. We closed just below that, so bulls were unable to recapture completely that 200, which is a bit concerning. But we can, obviously, the week is young, and we'll see how the weekly close ends up. All right, with that said, let's flip over to the other drawing set we had here for the S&P that we've been tracking. And besides being below the 9, 20, 50, and 200, well, let's just talk about this from the structural standpoint. Well, the bulls really tried today to get something going, failing after a nice rally. We did have Trump come out with some, I don't want to say rhetoric, some talk about delaying some further strikes with Iran. Who knows, what to believe at this point. Everybody's going so back and forth about everything. So let's see what the chart is really telling us here. For me, the bulls, they have to get over this 66.50, right? We need to see some daily closes at this to potentially start to neutralize this overall clear downtrend that we've been in. And so unless we start to see closes over that, and that would really put us in still a bearish, but more of a bearish to neutral, anywhere up in between the 66.51 and 67.20, we can call it. We're still going to call this bearish neutral, but this at least would take us out of the bearish type of price action, right? As long as we stay under here, the sellers have a bit more control and buyers really starting to lose their foothold, but it's anybody's match up right here coming into the start of the week. So let's continue to talk about the bull case, right? We need over that 66.50 area. Let's see some closes then back over 67.20. Now that's going to put me in a little bit more of a neutral standpoint if we start seeing price hang out over here in this area, right? But what we really need to see is over 67.65. Now for me, that's going to really start to open up the window for a true neutralization of the trend, and then we'll be looking at that 6800 even. Getting up over that 6830 would be my next target potentially for the upside. However, from the bearish perspective, right, even if we do close up here, just say price comes up into here, it could still be a short, back down, and then we just continue back down overall with the trend. Or really even we can come up here and reject. Maybe we get a bounce here, maybe we hang out here for a little bit, do a double top, bounce, maybe we sweep, come back out, bounce, and then we fail. Of course, I'm just making up random pathways here for price, but here's another scenario that we could end up seeing overall. Right now, that daily 9 sitting at 66.40. So where is that? That's pretty much right around here in this area, which we did trade into today, and the 20 is at 67.20. So look at that. Actually, just by chance, the pivots here are where the 20 is right here pretty much, and the daily 9 is right here. Price a little bit extended from that 20, so today I really thought we'd see a little bit more of a rally, to be honest with you. I mean, NQ with that news this morning around 7, NQ was up about 400 points. I didn't look at what ES was up when that came up, and of course I couldn't tell what where SPX was at that moment because the markets were not open. But we did close up 74 points. Okay, not too bad overall. But we've got our 20 and our 9 right here, and that's going to be really important, of course, to start to recapture if we want to see any upside at all. Personally, I'm loving the VIX right now. So let's keep this downtrend going. All right, so what do the bears need to see? Sellers need to find some acceptance back underneath 65.71, and that can drive us back down to 65.25. And ultimately, if we break that, we'll just look for those equal lows that we'll try to form some equal lows right here at 64.81. And we could see some buyers step in. We do have equal lows right here from back in November. This is going to be really important, holding this November low, which is around that 65.25. So under that, watch out, especially if we get a couple of sessions where we hang out right here like so. So possible redistribution for a move back down lower. If we do find acceptance under that 64.80, watch out. Going to look down towards 64.25, 64.26 as my next downside target overall. One more thing I did want to say before we wrap this up. On the daily chart here, finally showing some overbought signals coming in. Excuse me, oversold, right? And let me try to expand this really quickly, see if I can get a reading. Negative 12.055. So getting pretty oversold here. You can see what happened when we got here down in the November lows. Right, we did have a nice rally, counter trend rally back up. So we are starting to get into an interesting spot, at least from this perspective, and maybe holding this 65.70. I mean, certainly from this equal low, right, we recaptured. Could we make a case for a higher low here? Maybe, but this daily candle isn't the prettiest. This is, we're seeing a huge wick here. Buyers were unable to hold price up here. Sellers came in, pushed price back down pretty aggressively with that giant wick. So not exactly what you want to see, the type of daily close you want to see for a potential reversal, but we want to keep an open mind. So I'd really watch the 65.70 area. If we start trading back below that, it's possible that we do see lower once again, especially coming into the Tuesday session. So that's all I've got for you. Hope this helps. Don't forget, please subscribe, follow, share. I really appreciate it. All right, guys, take care and have a great rest of the trading week.